Live from the Export Beer Garden Studios, welcome one and all to the end-of-year BYC Cricket Awards, an event more popular than the recent coronation of King Charles III. So sit back and relax for an afternoon of glitz, glamour and heraldry, where we hand out the trophies to the most deserving cricketers from around the globe. And DC Cleaver, I know because you were messaging us at about 4 o'clock this morning saying you were so excited about the award ceremony today, you barely got a wink of sleep last night.
It's circled in my calendar from about January 1 every year, and this is the day. This is the gala day for me.
Absolutely, and Paul Ford looking absolutely splendid in your ACC kit there, mate. I know this is a big day for you as well. A lot of excitement in the Ford household.
Absolutely, it's I've got myself into quite a lather here, although I am wearing shorts and slippers on the lower half, if you needed to know.
Maybe a few quiet beersies on the side as well, perhaps?
Why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's a champagne kind of afternoon, and it's a champagne kind of podcast, so there is a crap load to get through, fellas, so what do we say we just dive into it?
Let's get stuck in.
Go on.
First of all, the Golden Box winner, most runs in the Plunket Shield. Last year's winner, of course, Tom Bruce. This year, in third place, TC Bruce from CD, 705. McConchie from Canterbury, 738. And this year's Golden Box winner from Northern Districts, the one, the only, B. Popley, with 819 runs for the season. There you go, fellas. Great stuff.
It was a great start, isn't it? And well-deserved from Barrett Popley. He's been a long-serving member of that Northern District side, getting his, well, probably the premier batting award in the country this year.
Absolutely. And like 10 years of first-class cricket he's played, 4,000 runs. He's 32 years old. He had a bumper summer. I think it was 2015, 2016 when he joined, I think, the Crows and maybe someone like Graham Hick, scoring more than 1,000 first-class runs. And he's a bit off the radar. Born in New Delhi, and he is currently a civil engineer alongside his cricketing exploits.
Sign him up, I say. Black Caps is my first tip of the day. Moving on to the Silver Sweatband winner, most wickets in the Plunket Shield. Last year's winner, of course, Brett Randell. This year in third place, W.E.R. Somerville from Auckland. In second place, R.L. Toole from CD. And the winner of the Silver Sweatband Award for this year, J.A. Duffy Otago.
And very, just again, excellent to see a stalwart pick up such a prestigious award like this.
Yeah, he's an interesting one. I actually have umpired old Duffy quite a bit, and he was a quality player. He's just never quite got through on the next level up, Paul Ford.
That's right. I mean, he's played 3 one-dayers and 3 T20s. Of course, he was dangerously unlucky not to make his test debut at the Mount when was it Henry went down and Jamieson, of course, and then Henry went on paternity duty. That's right. Jamieson went down injured, and then they brought in Kugelheim and Duffy. At that time, Kugelheim had 4 wickets in the Plunket Shield at an average of 64. Duffy had something ridiculous like 22 wickets at 21.3, and he still couldn't get a start. Lumsden's finest alongside Bill English and Daryl Gibson. He'll be super excited to pick this one up, I'm sure.
Yeah, massive, mate. Massive. Now, I believe you, Paul Ford, are doing the next category.
Yes, I can do that, Jace. This is the Long White Cloud Female Player of the Year. And the nominees for this one are Kate. This, of course, is a new award, so we don't have one from last year. Kate Anderson from Canterbury, after a stonking super smash, where she scored a record-breaking 536 runs at an average of 60, strike rate of 115, plus chuck in the fact that she plundered in 141 in the annoyingly named Halliburton Johnston Shield 50 over comp as well. So nominee number 1, Kate Anderson. Number 2 is Sophie Devine for her non-sugar-coated descriptions of the White Firm's performances in the T20 World Cup. Mealy Kerr for getting picked up for $200,000 by the Mumbai Indians in the Women's IPL and then helped them win the comp, as well as all her great mental health advocacy work, plus the rockstar White Fern stuff too, of course. And Amy Satterthwaite for the big double fingers after getting dropped from the contracts list, then going on a farewell tour across domestic cricket, picking up the gold medal and a silver medal for Canterbury in a couple of domestic comps. And the winner of this award is none other than Sophie Devine. Couple of quotes from Sophie Devine versus Australia. I thought we were really poor in all facets of the game, really disappointing, and it's a really important thing to find the positives in this game because it's such a quick turnaround and that's going to be hard. And then against South Africa, I'm not sure too many words can describe the disappointment and the embarrassment. It's not good enough, and I take a lot of that on board as captain. It's not good enough.
Yeah, so well, and good on you too, because we like our honesty amongst our sports people.
Yes, we do.
Tell it how it is. Let's not sugarcoat the scenario. I don't want to hear bullshit. Own up.
And I should add, though, she also played some decent cricket.
She did.
I think she got 99 in the IPL and went out trying to hit over the top for 100, which is always good to see. So, yeah, well done, Sophie. Well deserved. And I believe I have got the next one.
Yes.
Which is the famous D. Cleaver Award for Most Promising Player, presented by D. Cleaver. The nominees have to be under 30 years old and never selected for full national honours. And the winner in the original year, I believe, was D. Cleaver. And last year was Brett Randell. This year, the nominations are Ollie White, selected for the Dubai Capitals in the UAE International League T20 Premier League, 21 years old with 0 domestic games in any format. Nomination, Muhammad Abbas, Wellington, just a cracking player, one of the more exciting players seen. And the other nomination is Aditya Ashok, a leg-spinning wizard from Auckland, who I'm sure will not be too long out of national colours. But the winner is Josh Clarkson, CD.
Yeah.
What a year he had.
Yeah, he's had a great year, hasn't he? And he looks a real talent. Put him in the black caps, I say. There's another tip from Hoyte J. You with me, boys?
Yeah, I am.
Fellas?
Yep. 26 years old. Nelson. I think he's a Nelsonian. Look, just a clean striker of the ball and seemed to get runs when it really mattered for CD towards the end of the summer.
He's knocking hard on that door, that's for sure. No doubt about it.
Right, next up, I think it's you, Paul Ford, again.
Yeah, it is. This is the Plumley Walker Award for the Fetish Player of the Year. And before we get into this year's nominations, worth noting that Michael Bracewell, the Beast, won this last year and then went on to make his one-day international debut, his test debut and his T20 debut. And 1 year later, Michael Bracewell has played 43 matches for New Zealand, which is pretty extraordinary.
Amazing.
In just 12 months. Anyway, the nominees for this one are Daryl Mitchell, who's had a memorable 12 months, starting with him making centuries in all 3 of the Black Caps test defeats in England and finishing with him hitting back-to-back tons at the start of the one-day series just gone against Pakistan as well. It's Daryl Joseph Mitchell. Number 2 is Muhammad Abbas, Mu Abbas, as I think we'll start calling him on the BYC podcast. Top order right-hand batsman, doesn't just score runs, he can also bowl a bit of left-arm swing. Born in Lahore, and he's Richard Petrie's fault that he's here after bringing his old man over to do some playing and some coaching at Karori, and then off to a scholarship at King's, and now he's at Victoria University. That's Mu Abbas. And number 3 is your man, Jason Hoyte, Benjamin George Lister, the Henderson-based left armour.
It's predominantly because he's a Westie, to be honest. He's one of my boys. You know what I mean? He's out west.
And the winner this year, because I get to pick, is Muhammad Abbas. Mu Abbas, maiden century, 130 in just his second match. He's been making headlines since he was 14 years old. The winner, Muhammad Abbas.
Right, I've got the next one. The 6th award of the evening is the Shithousery Act of the Year. And last year, it went to Tim. I'm about to give something firm a pull. Pain. The memories come flooding back, don't they?
Oh, yes.
Hope he's cleaned the award.
This year, the nominations are Indian wicketkeeper Ishan Kishan for reacting to a controversial decision after Hardik Pandya was controversially given out by blatantly flicking the bails off with his wicket-keeping gloves when Latham was batting and then appealing. Not good. Another nomination is for whining Englishwoman Charlie Dean for bursting into tears after being man-catted out by chubby Indian spinner Deepti Sharma and losing a women's ODI at Lord's in September, with nerds reviewing Dean's innings and finding she left her crease early 85% of the time she was at the non-strikers. Get over it, Charlie. We also have a nomination for Indian cricket pitch shenanigans versus Australia in March. Caveat, because it was Australia, cannot really be called shithousery.
Well, it kind of bit them on the arse in the end, didn't it?
It did a bit. We also have a nomination for the no wide called by beautiful man that is Australian umpire Rockin' Rod Tucker at the Basin Test, as Neil Wagner thunders into James Anderson and drops in a leg side bouncer that was definitely not a wide. And they are all very valid nominations, but there can only be one winner this year, and the winner is Aleem Dar and Alex Wharf, the umpires pulling the players from Karachi National Stadium with 3 overs left in this gripping test, Pakistan needing 15 runs to win and New Zealand needing 1 wicket. The lights were on, spinners were operating from both ends, and in the previous over, Pakistan's batters had hit a 4 and a 6. Wrote cricket's great intellectual, Scott Copernicus Styris, both teams had a chance of winning, and we come off the field with 3 overs to go. Exhibit A of why Test cricket is in trouble.
Good call, DC. I think that's a very solid award. I'd also like to ask those umpires to share that award with the match referee, of course, an Australian. David Boone should be implicated in that disgraceful act. And speaking of disgraceful acts, this award is for the most epic fail. Last year was awarded to terrific and great New Zealander, incredible batsman Devon Conway, when he punched his bat with his hand after getting out and started to miss a whole bunch of super important games for New Zealand. So anyway, the nominations for this year's most epic fail for the pink ball test at the Mount, when Kugelheim bowled to Broad on day 2. He was in full nighthawk mode, spooned it up in the air, and then we had Kugelheim and Blundell run toward the ball and then stop, look at each other, do nothing, and then rage as the cameras cut to Ben Stokes and Jimmy Anderson losing their shit in the pavilion. Oh, God, it still makes me tense up when I think about that moment. Number 2, the Black Caps lose 7 for 14 and then 8 for 30 to collapse to a shambolic loss against India, chasing 161 to win at Napier. Number 3, England enforced the follow-on at the Basin to set up one of the greatest test matches ever played, one of only 4 instances of a team winning after following on in a test match. And of course, that incredible period straight after the follow-on when New Zealand went to, I think it was 1 or none for 149, and things got away to a rollicking start. Another nomination, I think this is from you, Dylan Cleaver.
Yes.
The Wagner ball at the Bay Oval. First 11 overs, the most expensive 11 overs in Test history for 104, and would have been competitive in the list of most expensive one-day international cricket bowling spells as well. Another nomination came through for Scott Kugelheim for being selected against England. We mentioned that earlier before. Didn't need to happen. Shouldn't have happened. Probably not on a moral front, and probably not on a form front either. And another nomination, I think this was you as well, Dylan Cleaver, for epic fail. Michael Beastie Bracewell at the Basin versus England, who turned an easy 3 into one of the world's most ignominious runouts, even looking up while leisurely jogging and seeing Ben Stokes throw coming to his end. It nearly ruined all Kane Williamson's good work and almost certainly denied Tom Blunderwood deserved Test century. Some very slippery body language from Ben Folkes on that one too, if I recall correctly. But the winner of the epic fail of the year, and it can only be this, I think, with you two boys on the podcast, was when a deaf and blind Dylan Cleaver ran out the crippled and elderly Jason Hoyte in ignominious fashion during the Dulux Tradies 11 match at the Bay Oval. Do you guys remember this?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, vaguely.
I have an alternative version, and that says a crippled and elderly Jason Hoyte runs himself out for a duck at the Bay Oval because he'd never used Velcro pads before, while a sympathetic Dylan Cleaver looks on helplessly from the sensible end.
Yeah. Either way, it's congratulations to both of you for an incredible win.
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, well done. Right, moving on to the favourite non-New Zealand player nomination from Paul Ford, Cooper Connolly, the 19-year-old Perth Scorcher surfy kid who wandered out during the Big Bash final and cracked 25 off 11 balls to get his team home over Brisbane in the final. Instant cult hero status. Another Paul Ford nomination, Ben Stokes, Sydenham CC. Love the way he plays the game. I would much prefer to leave a mark on other people's career than look to mine more established. He said, I've got a real desire to make the best out of the team I've got here and the players who will come in the future. Hopefully I can help some of these guys in the dressing room here just have an amazing career. If I can influence that in any way, shape or form, then I'll be happy. Nomination from Dylan Cleaver. The stocky Paul Sterling from Ireland looks exactly how club cricket used to feel, but he has 15 international centuries in my nomination, kind of along the same kind of lines as you there, Dylan Cleaver, the one and only Tim Pringle from the Dutch side, the stocky, bespeckled Offie from the Netherlands. And the winner is Paul Sterling from Ireland.
I thought you were going to say Derek Sterling.
Yes, so did I.
Yeah.
He's a great character, though, isn't he?
He is a great character. He's a great character. And I'm just wondering how Tim Pringle feels being excommunicated from New Zealand. I mean, I know he does play for Holland, and technically I think you're right to include him here.
Yes.
But, he's listening now, and he's thinking, well, I'm still kind of a Kiwi.
Wow, yeah. Well, we'll see. We'll play for the Kiwis then.
I'm sure he'd love to. God, he wears a good shoe too, Tim Pringle.
Yes. Waiting.
Commentary of the year. Last year, this was you, Jason Hoyte, as New Zealand won that World Test Championship. Glorious, halcyon day in New Zealand cricket history. We've had a couple more doozies this year. Who can forget the 2 Test matches? Nomination number 1, New Zealand gets home against England at the Basin.
Barker. Go back. Anderson. Oh, down the next side. He's got it. He's got it. New Zealand done it. New Zealand have won a historic Test match.
Oh, my God.
As Jimmy Anderson gets strangled down the leg side. Wagner gets it. And
He's done it.
For the 4th time in history, a team that has been forced to follow on has turned around and won the match.
That orgasmic Sonia Gray there with Mike Lane.
That was a religious experience for Sonia, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was.
And then what was it? I can't remember the exact number of days, but not too many days later, we did it all again as New Zealand got home against Sri Lanka at Hagley in the ACC. We're there again.
What can Williamson do here? The crowd of about 20. Get in behind Kane Williamson. Asita Fernando. Into Williamson. The final delivery of this Test match. Oh, and they run. They run the by. And the There's a direct hit. They're going upstairs. They're celebrating, but
he's out. I think he's out.
I think he thinks he's out too.
To director, we have an umpire review.
Oh.
Wow, could the third umpire act like he gives a shit?
And Williamson's asking again for the short ball and how that's not. Look at the dive. Get in there, Kane Williamson.
It's game.
You are a little beauty. You are a little beauty, Kane Williamson. You little master. He's done it. Kane Williamson.
So much yelling.
But 2 amazing Test matches.
Oh, yeah.
We were really treated, fellas, over the summer with the Test match cricket. It couldn't have been better, quite frankly.
Except for the pink ball test.
Yeah, well, that was
shocking.
That was.
Won't talk about that.
That was crap. Shit hellsery.
2 of the most just incredible matches. Totally agree, Jason. Oh man, it takes you back right there. Just right there. Number 3, third nomination is Mark Waugh versus Dinesh Karthik. God, I've looked there. BCCI seem to have scrubbed the internet of this one, but basically it was Dinesh Karthik saying to Mark Waugh, "Are you happy with the field? There's nobody for Rohit Sharma. You're okay with that? Would you do the same as the captain?" And Mark Waugh said, "I didn't know this was a press conference." And Karthik's like, "Well, Karthik, it's a bit of banter." And Waugh says, I'm going to limit your questions per session. You get 1, right? And no more." And then Sanjay Mandrake popped in and said, I'm just going to step in here and read out the score. And then they just stopped talking to each other for the rest of the session. So that was Mark Waugh and Dinesh Karthik. But the winner of this one, and I think it's a magnificent piece of commentary, and it's been played a lot on the ACC. And this is Pommy Mbangwa for his commentary of a Jimmy Neesham screamer in South Africa.
Oh, you've done it again! You've done it again and again! I can't believe this! Jimmy Neesham, what do you have for food? Good Lord.
He's
Amazing from Pommy Mbangwa.
Sometimes maligned, old Pommy Mbangwa, but
He commits.
He commits.
Yes.
Yeah. Moving right on to the Kodak Award for the sexiest cricket shot of the year. And last year, who could forget it? It was Ross Taylor's flick over square leg to win the inaugural World Test Championship at Southampton. This year, we have nominations. The first one being Kyle Mayer's 105-metre six off the back foot and off Cameron Green at the Gold Coast. Adam Gilchrist saying, I'm sure there has been a better shot in the history of the game, but I just cannot remember it.
Oh, smacked. That is huge. First six, and it's an upper decker.
That is an unbelievable shot. That is a terrific shot.
Well, this is a bit of calypso cricket. Just open the front side of his body and check that ball over extra cover into the second tier.
And you just need to hear the sound of that one to know how sweet it was. How sweet. Right in the meat of the bat.
And how loud they have the stump mics turn on where you can hear him tapping his bat before the bowler comes in.
And off the back foot. And that was an amazing shot. I mean, God, they were diabolical on that series, but that almost made up for it, that one singular six.
And here's another amazing shot. This one from Muhammad Harris. A lofted cut over deep cover off Matt Henry in Karachi.
Short and wide and slammed downwind. Oh, it's all the way. And caught by the ball boy. What a shot. What a piece of cricket. Mohammad Harris, you beauty. That takes Pakistan past 300.
This is some shot. Yeah, why not admire it? Went hard, long, well juggled as well, young man.
Hard and long.
Hard and long. Love it. Another nomination. And how can you forget this one? Mark Chapman's running ramp shot for six in his match-winning T20I century against Pakistan. Those three were brilliant shots, but there could only be one winner, guys, and it had to be Kane Williamson's square drive slash that beat two deep point boundary riders to bring the scores level in that famous test win that we just featured before versus Sri Lanka at Hagley Oval. What an incredible shot.
Yeah. Well, you can't have an award ceremony without Kane getting something, let's be honest.
No.
It just doesn't feel right.
It's dead right. I might have denied him, though, actually, because I do think that the bye that he and Neil Wagner ran, Wagner with a torn hammy and a bulging disc in his back, I thought that was a lovely piece of cricket, but maybe doesn't qualify as a shot. They're simply known as best snare. Last year, this was Will Young at the Hagley Oval. This year, the nominees are Kiran Talaka, who was playing in the Indian tennis ball cricket tournament in Sri Chasatak, and batsman Bablu Mangore clobbered a ball that looked certain to be six. Talika got a hand to the ball, was teetering on the boundary line, so he tossed it up in the air, and then he went over the boundary rope and kicked it backwards over his own head for it to be caught by another fielder. Absolutely sensational piece of cricket. Another sensational and arguably controversial piece of cricket was when Michael Neser sent a very cranky Jordan Silk back to the dugout after an innovative catch on the boundary. Silk thought he'd hit a second consecutive six after Neser took the catch at deep mid-off. With momentum taking him over the boundary rope, he threw the ball up and well over the rope to retrieve it. He then jumped a second time while catching it beyond the rope, ran back inside the boundary to claim the catch. Neser was very confused and frankly, Silk was really pissed off. But he was given out and had to go back to the dugout. And number three, Steve Smith's extraordinary catch as Pujara threatened to take India's total up past 200, frustrating the Aussies over it was an indoor maybe, and was finally undone after the Aussie captain filling in for Pat Cummins, of course, put himself at leg slip, to Nathan Lyon and took an absolutely unbelievable catch from Pujara as he sort of flicked it. And it was a one-handed reflex catch to his right after he took off to the left. Amazing from Steve Smith, as much as I hate to say it. But the winner of this award can only really be former Taranaki cricket captain Ryan Fleming, who was in the crowd wandering around the bottom of the amphitheatre at Pukakura Park, holding his son Freddie when he raised his left arm and grasped a six nonchalantly after it was clobbered there by none other than Ross Taylor. During his 15 years as a cricket player, Fleming said he'd never caught a ball outside the field at Pukakura Park, but had caught a lot inside the field. And he said that he started to slow down a bit. And he also mentioned that in 2013, he went to a baseball game in America, an MLB game, and got a baseball there. So, snare of the year, Ryan Fleming from Taranaki.
Moving right on to the Somerset Village Award for the most significant retirement. And last year, this went to Katie Martin, and she hung up the gloves after the World Cup. There's a lot of nominations this year. Will Somerville, otherwise known as Dad, the off-spinner who played a lot of his cricket in Australia, came back to New Zealand, made the New Zealand Test team, played in a couple of epic victories overseas. He's pulled the pin. Another spinner, veteran spinner, this time Todd Astle of the leg spin variety, has pulled the pin at Canterbury. As we've mentioned before, the great Amy Satterthwaite. We also have a kind of a bad faith retirement here, and that's Ian Smith, who said, of course, there's a purpose and a direction towards Maori and Pacific import, and of course female sport, like never before. The way of the world, as they say, as he left his job with Sky. We also have David White, who has pulled the pin after being, it seems like he's been CEO of New Zealand cricket since
Forever.
1972.
Yes.
But he hasn't been quite that long, but he is leaving. But the winner, and it's a winner on two fronts here. The winner is the one and only Colin de Grandholm, who also wins the sub-award for the most shambolic retirement.
Well, I mean, it could only be Colin that would have a kind of a retirement like that, really, given who he is and what he's like. I mean, I think that was perfectly fitting, actually, his retirement.
Paul, do you want to give us a quick recap on the CDG retirement?
He's a man of few words, isn't he, Colin de Grandholm? Well, I can't actually remember the specifics, but I remember it sort of got backwards denounced, didn't it? Like it was sort of,
he was suddenly named for the Adelaide Strikers.
Yeah, and then he sort of we had to work it out backwards that he'd retired. Very, very strange. And I think it was pretty much described as a bit of a standoff with New Zealand cricket, and he didn't win. So that was the end of that for him. And back went the contract, and the discussions were all over. And I think there was an announcement which said they'd agreed that they would mutually part ways. But it was a hot mess. No doubt about that.
Waiting. Right, well, moving on. Yeah, good one, fellas. Thanks for giving me this one. Best player name. Great stuff. Let's get into this, shall we? Starting off with Nagar Sultana Jodi from Bangladesh. Then Nonkulu Leko Malaba from South Africa. Lauren Winfield-Reid from England. Mark Chapman, New Zealand. Devan Lecoq from Namibia. Hileo Yafrance from Namibia. Innocent Kaya from Zimbabwe. Fazal Haq Farouk from Afghanistan. Tim David, Australia. Arshdeep Singh from India. And finally, Endile Fuluku Whale from South Africa. And the winner is, and quite frankly, fellas, let's be honest, there could be only one, Lauren Winfield-Reid from England.
It's the first time in a while that old fucker Zaman hasn't been nominated.
Yes. There's some real doozies in there, isn't there? My God.
You are very, very welcome. This award is the holy shit, I never expected that to happen award. And last year it was Ajaz Patel taking 10 wickets in Mumbai. This year, Tom Blundell for scoring 383 runs across New Zealand's 3 test matches in England last summer, including a century at Trent Bridge, 96 in the second innings of the previous test at Lords, and then 88 not out in the final match at Leeds. And in cahoots for much of that run scoring with Daryl Mitchell, 538 runs in that series at an average of 107, 15th New Zealander to score a test ton at Lords, 236 run record partnership with Blundell, 190 in Nottingham, and then another century in Leeds to make Mitchell the 5th New Zealand player to score hundreds in 3 successive tests. Just an extraordinary combination over there in England. The second holy shit nominee is Glenn Phillips, who pulled off a heroic late assault to help his IPL side to an improbable win when they needed 41 off 12 balls, pumping 3 sixes to flip the script and help Hyderabad to an unlikely win over Rajasthan, playing just his second game of the season, filling in for the England rock star Harry Brooks, and earning the Player of the Match award. Pretty extraordinary stuff from Glenn Phillips. Next nominee is Trent Boult. New Zealand Cricket agreed to release Boult, did they, from his central contract in August to allow the experienced pacer to spend more time with his family, ... and be available to play in endless domestic leagues around the world. Boult, 78 test matches, 130 white ball games, said the ability to spend more time with his family in the coming years was influential in coming to his decision. But the winner, it can only be the extraordinary appointment of Brendan McCullum and the rise of Bazball. And of course, the first victims of this were the Black Caps. McCullum, of course, appointed head coach of England back in May. Really amazing decision and an absolute double fingers to traditionalism from ECB Managing Director Rob Key. Of course, the name Bazball was coined by Andrew Miller from Cricinfo. And yeah, I mean, McCullum has just absolutely upended all of that traditional conservative approach to cricket and that underdog mindset that England have been known for. So, an amazing holy shit award, and really gutted that I guess he's there and not here.
Yeah, fair call, man.
We do actually forget how seismic that was at the time.
Yes, it was huge.
Because he's come in and has succeeded immediately. There are, I remember Mark Ramprakash, a long-time columnist, I think, for the Times of the Telegraph, writing that this was a mistake. There was a real feeling there that England were going to get left with egg on their faces. And I guess with the Ashes coming up, that's still their marker, isn't it? England campaigns, Australian campaigns are still judged on how they go in the Ashes series. So there's still a chance it can go tits up, but man, what a start.
But still, I mean, the results have been extraordinary. And when you combine Ben Stokes, he's a bit of a talisman and a charismatic character, and you got, Brendan McCullum, that's a powerful little unit. And fully up to them.
You had that quote before about Stokes, talking about wanting to get the best out of other players. And you can see how that's just slotted in amazingly with I guess, McCullum's philosophy, which is all around, that question that he asks, we want to have fun, or else what's the point doing it? We get one crack at life. If you've got skills, aspirations and dreams, why wouldn't you live those out and have a smile on your face? We're playing international cricket. Most people would give a limb to be doing this. And I think, amazing.
Yeah. Fair call, mate, fair call. Now, the Davey Dum Dum Most Punishing International Cricketer of the Year award, and the temptation is, fellas, isn't it, with this award, to just hand it over and for it to be like a lifetime achievement award for Davey Dum Dum. But actually, no, he's not nominated this year. The nominees are, and they're self-explanatory in a way, Marnus Labuschagne, of course. Good God. The antics and carry-on of the one and only Michael Clarke, Steve Smith, enough said, Matthew Hayden, again, enough said, and Yuzvendra Chahal are the nominees. And the winner is, and it has to be, the one and only Michael Clarke. What a carry-on.
The thing is that with Michael Clarke and Matthew Hayden, they're still haunting us beyond their careers.
Yes.
The last thing you want to hear when you flick on your TV now for an overseas series is Matthew Hayden in the commentary box punishing your ears with just audio nonsense. And Michael Clarke, obviously, the infamous Sunshine Coast restaurant incident, which also dragged Karl Stefanovic, I think, into the fray. Ugly scenes.
Yeah.
And you know, I know that I'm sure David Warner will be a little bit disappointed not to be nominated. For this award. And you know, I think he was, I guess, highly commended. And the thing that stuck in my mind from him this year was when Ross Taylor's book came out, there was an incident that Ross Taylor wrote about where they were in the lift going up to their rooms, and Warner was giving Taylor some grief, and Taylor just got sick of it and put him in a headlock and just said, and just sort of like went dunk, dunk, you know, let's enough. And Warner said, oh, fuck, I forgot you Pacific Islanders are quite strong. And as Ross Taylor said, it's amazing what you can achieve with a headlock and a couple of jabs to the melon. And I think it's not a bad motto to live your life by, Jace.
Yeah, totally, mate. Well, I tell you what, fellas, I think that's the best award ceremony ever. And I know that there will be cricketers all around the globe celebrating their success, drinking a few beersies and some champagnes, and great and sterling work from you two there and compiling all of this stuff. And what a season it's been. What a season it's been. And we've got the Ashes coming up, and I cannot wait for that. And actually, Dylan, you know, I think you make a very fair point. This is the ultimate test for McCullum, isn't it? This is in many ways what he'll be judged on. Yeah.
Fairly or unfairly, I think it will be. Well, before that as well, don't forget we have Australia v India.
Yes.
At Lords, the World Test Championship final. And even before that, if you're really keen, we've got Paul Stirling and the Irish taking on England, also at Lords.
Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. Any final words from you, Paul Ford?
No, just it's been it's been fun actually going back through, trawling through the archives for this one. And God, whenever I do this, it just makes me realise how much I love doing the BYC, but even more how much I love cricket. So if anyone's been out there and been listening for the last 12 months, they probably heard absolutely nothing new today. But hopefully you missed a couple of episodes and we managed to talk about something that you hadn't heard about during the year. But thanks for tuning in and listening to us three idiots talk crap every week or every second week.
Yeah, and just on that front, we're going to have a little 2-week hiatus, and then we'll be back after 2 weeks, getting into the Ashes and all that sort of stuff. So we won't be gone long, so make sure you stay tuned. Thanks for listening.